Everybody that doesn't know, this is Mr. Frank Patterson right here. Patterson Properties, downtown
Mm.
Naperville. I'm Jerry Cervantes, voice of the Ville.
Jim Alexandre, voice of the Ville.
Some good Golders way I'm eating. Thanks to the Golders Square quote. Jeff Lamore.
As I said, Frank Patterson, Patterson Properties, no Gordo's way. I mean, I don't know. You guys want to come on the podcast? You might want to ask for food up front. Just say. So,
We are accepting.
They did offer. I
from
turned
you.
it down. So
Yeah.
I'm working on my figure. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Frank's been in the gym a lot lately. He just came back from Europe, right?
Yep, correct. We me and my wife spent 6 weeks traipsing around Spain, Italy, and France and Portugal, bumbling and stumbling through the language,
Yeah.
getting laughed at,
Yeah.
getting confused, getting lost, you name it. It was a fun time though. We had a lot of good times. Saw a lot of cool stuff. The history over there. You traipse around the United States and you think things are old until you get to some other parts of the world that's been there for a while. You go walk across a Roman bridge that's been there for 1,000 years and is built better than buildings here that's been here for 6 weeks. So, but all that said, I love my America. I love Aberville. Aberville's a great place to live. I graduated high school from here. Worked in businesses here off and on my whole life. I've worked in every kind of profession you can think about. Ground up, started from a single mom, bouncing around, kicked out of houses because we couldn't pay our bills. You know what I mean? So I've lived the experience from start to finish. And Aberville has always been here. You know what I mean? I've watched it go through good times, hard times, lean times, great times. And I'm proud of the city that we're in right now. You know what I mean? I'm proud of the diversity. I'm proud of what we do as a community. My wife and I are constantly in nonprofit organizations or volunteering, or some of it is against my will. I'm not going to pretend like I'm volunteering for all
Shout
of this
out
stuff.
to your wife.
But
Yes.
sold by Wendy,
Shout out,
Wendy
Wendy.
Patterson, best realtor in Marshall County. Just got to throw that out there.
There you go.
I'm not biased at all.
I seen her sign everywhere actually.
She's a hustler.
You a hustler too?
I try. I was telling Jimmy when I walked in, that woman is a genius when it comes to real estate. She's forgotten more stuff about real estate than I'll ever learn. She worked for Shannon Mitchell, which is one of the best closing attorneys in the county, for 17 years before she went into real estate, and she hit the ground running. She's in the top 10 almost every year in the county. She's a little biased towards a certain investor. I don't know who that investor is. But yeah, if I have a question about something, that's my go-to. You know what I mean?
Your wife?
I mean, yeah, she knows a lot of stuff. So, but the Aberville community, man, is just awesome. Just to watch what it has worked through over the years and what it is like, what's come to fruition. And the people that put in the work behind the scenes that don't brag on themselves. That's the thing that is near and dear to my heart, because this is the most awkward thing I will do. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a politician. I'm talking in public. My wife has already instructed me to control my filter. I don't have a filter in most cases, so I say things that get myself in trouble.
Let me filter a little bit. So Frank hopped on less than 2 days notice.
Yeah.
He just said, I'll come have a conversation with you. I've never done anything like that in my
Yeah.
life. But I know Frank's got a lot to talk about here and a lot of experience. So shout out to Frank for coming on the show.
Shout out to you,
Frank.
man.
That's right.
Salute to you. Let's talk about your upbringing, over here in Albertville. I mean, you're a pretty successful businessman, in my opinion. I see you got signs everywhere. Your name in the real estate world means something. And, not a lot of people in the real estate world have a name such as yours. So can you explain the process of,
Well, I like to say my wife and I basically, we're both hard-headed. We both came from different but rough, to an extent, upbringings for different reasons. We have both literally lived in the trenches homes foreclosed on, cars repossessed, homeless. Like I said, um, my father, um, 4-time felon in prison most of my life. Met him when I was 13 years old. Met him in prison for the first time when I was 13 years old. Um, Single mom, working 2 or 3 jobs to survive. Still at this age, I mean, she's 65 years old now. I think she'll probably kill me. I'm probably off a year or two, but still works 40 hours a week hustling. You know what I mean? Um, and I watched her struggle and to make ends meet and all of the stuff that you see that everybody talks about. And, everybody's like, it's hard to make it. It's hard to make it. It's hard to make it. And it is hard to make it, but it teaches you a perseverance and a tenacity that I wouldn't trade for anything in the world.
Yeah.
If you could give me a time machine and say, you could go back and you could be any famous person, any rich family you could think about, you could be their child or you could be your mother's child, I would stay where I am because it taught me things that no amount of money or birthright or anything could teach you.
Shout out, love, and respect for your mom.
And yeah.
There's 2 people in this world that I'm scared of, and that's my mother and my wife, depending on the Most of the time I can bribe my wife with snacks. My mom, when she's mad, I kind of just have to distance myself when she comes in. So
But like when you graduated from the struggle, you become the instructor.
Exactly. And so that's, I've watched you guys, the couple things you've put out there. I've watched the rhetoric on social media, all of it. I'm an observer. I'm a learner. I'm a quiet voice in most cases. Social media is great when it's used correctly, but it's absolutely frustrating to me to see all the negativity with people that has all these opinions and want to run down the work that's put in, the successes and the failures when the failures are broadcast, but they don't see all the failures that are behind the scenes that got to the successes. They don't see the hard work that the community and the volunteers. And I mean, I'll give an example of this. You got Emily Jennings over at Main Street Realty. She runs the show over there pretty much as far as the secretary and handling everything. She runs Keep Abbeville Beautiful. I'm sure you guys are all aware of what that is.
Yeah, I'm familiar with them.
So she'll post, "Hey, we're going to clean up over here on Saturday at 10 o'clock." Gets 5 shares and 3 comments and 10 people show up.
Wow.
But you'll see a post of negativity or gossip or running someone down that's trying to do something that what they tried may not have worked, or it may not have worked the way they wanted it to. But you'll have thousands of people run it down and share it and talk about it and say how stupid it was. What are you doing to make a difference? So that's my issue with a lot of this stuff is you have people doing good work. You have food pantries. You have Keep Abbeville Beautiful. You have the Shepherd's Cove that runs, the Shepherd's Cove over here. They have the thrift store. They have the Women's Guild that's doing all this nonprofit stuff that's trying to make our community better. And they have to beg, plead, and borrow to get money, to get volunteers, to get all this, that, and the other. But somebody who spends 50% of their time on social media running down somebody else's work, if we as a community would take ourselves out of that and spend even half as much time that is being spent running down stuff and spend it on making a change, the world would be a different place.
It would.
On that, I like the fact that you literally named, like you mentioned, Shepherd Cove, the different pensionaries. So you named some of the organization within our community actually really doing things to help uplift the community. And this may be a little bit political, but we are in election season right now for the city. Can you name anyone as far as those political figures who are in office that you can say that have earned your respect over time? That you can say that has done things not to show, not
Mhm.
for the credit, but simply genuinely care.
So anybody that knows me knows I am very blunt and very honest person.
That's why I ask.
So this is straight to the point.
Mm-hmm.
Tracy Honey,
Mm-hmm.
Nathan Broadhurst, which I think you guys recently interviewed.
Yes.
Tracy especially. Nathan, I've seen him at a lot of things, and I don't know Nathan as well, but I know Tracy pretty well. I've seen Tracy at events with his personal money, his personal work in non-election years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not because it's an election year. I've been doing this for a minute. You know what I mean? That's what tells me the difference. You know what I mean? But when you're doing it, when you're not getting anything out of it, is what speaks to me. Anybody can go out and show their face when they're trying to accomplish something for themselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not political. Have no plans to be political. I give a lot of money and a lot of time to this community, and I'm a busy person. I work 100 hours a week.
Wow.
On an off week. You know what I mean? And I still find time to go do stuff, and I'm not bragging on myself. I'd like to be, at home with my beautiful wife. I'd like to be out on the boat, on the lake, or whatever else. And we do that stuff, and we enjoy life. But I see the people that are at these nonprofits and these fundraisers and all of those things. I'm right there with them. I'll tell you firsthand. Shepherd's Cove and the Cancer Society, they love to see a Frank Patterson come in with a couple shots of Crown because they know he's going to bid on whatever he wants and probably try to win it. You know what I mean? So that's where I get myself in trouble.
Shepherd's Cove had the fashion show this year. I was in the fashion show. I was sexier than ever.
It's a fun time, isn't it?
It was a good time.
Who did? Who's responsible for Jeff on the fashion show?
Hey,
I want to know.
I got video on our
Hey,
Patreon.
Why were we not invited to this?
I'm telling you, I have word from people in power that Jeff took extra time shopping than everybody else for his sexy fit. They said he was in there 17 times.
Yeah, I was.
To look, because he's like, I got to be right.
Because Chief Cartsy put me up for a challenge. Yeah. Did you know that I donated $100 to Chief Cartsy, and then he ended up beating me. I felt sad. I wanted.
He's got experience.
He's like the whole time he was down, his donation was down. In 1 hour, he went. I was like, oh shoot, I'm in trouble.
But it's stuff like that. People that are willing to get outside their comfort zone and do stuff like a Shepherd's Cove, walk down the runway and show your stuff to raise money and go out and work at these events. And when there's nobody there with cameras, you know what I mean? There's nobody there posting it on social media. There's nobody there talking about it. I see those people in the community and who they are.
And they're very humble people.
They're very humble and they're very generous.
Like somebody like Anna Weather, for instance, she don't get enough credit.
The Weathers are some of the best people I know.
Yes.
And they help so many people in this community, and it's not ever talked about.
That's my go-to person for, a lot of things that
they're great people. Her and Jeremy are honest and forthcoming and generous and
very generous.
They do a lot for this community.
Very generous.
But you don't hear those things.
Yeah.
Maybe it's
shout out to Anna and Jeremy.
Maybe it's the people with the last name Smith, man.
Well, what you do hear is
Smith, right?
Yeah. Some of the stuff you hear, like things like that get under my skin a little bit, and they're too nice to say it. I'm nice to an extent, but I'm also gonna say what I think. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that frustrates me is the Weathers. That business has been around forever, and they have supported this community in thin times and kept it afloat and took care of people. And I've seen the things they do, but they'll get a social media thing going around because one out of their 800 properties they have it looks rough.
Well, sometimes it's not even their property at all. It's property they sold to somebody.
They sold 6 months ago or whatever else, But regardless, when you're out there hustling and working and doing the things they do in the community and serving and volunteering, and Jeremy coaches like all kinds of little league teams and all this other stuff for his kids, and they donate and they work these events and all those things, and you're managing everything they manage. And like I said, one, two, even if it's 10 out of
Mhm.
800 or 1,000 properties
Mhm.
aren't perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who's perfect?
I mean,
You know
it's
what I mean?
it's hard. Like I said, it's hard to manage a bunch of different businesses.
Right.
You know, because you have to hire people and put those people in charge. Sometimes the people is not don't care as much because they're not the business owner.
Mhm.
You know, they're not running the company.
Absolutely.
You know what
And
I'm
I
saying?
think that's one of the, so Jerry knows me from a managerial position, and finding people to have an ownership mentality, which is what I call it, is very difficult. And it gets more and more difficult as time goes on because people just want to get paid. They don't really want to care about what you care about. You
I
know?
call it the John Maxwell mentality. You know, like
Yeah.
not a lot of people have leadership.
Yeah, I agree.
And,
You know.
and to that, when you have a lot of success, there's so many failures that come with it.
Oh,
Oh
absolutely.
yeah.
Back to
Absolutely.
your quote, I wrote it down here, is all the failures created the success.
Yep. You know, you can't tell me how many, I couldn't tell you how many times. I mean, I'm not an emotional person, and I'm not, in touch with my feelings as much as my wife would like for me to be sometimes.
So they say.
But, you know, I spent many nights setting up thinking, how are we going to make payroll this week? How are we going to meet these numbers? Like when I was back in a 9 to 5 working for people, like, if I don't hit this target, I'm going to lose my job.
Yeah.
My kids, my kids are depending on me. My mom's depending on me. My family's depending on me. Like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? And then you get into the business world, and it's even worse because there is no person to fix it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
When you're
You're on your
running
own.
something and you're the top dog, for lack of a better word, there's nobody to fix it. And you're sitting there thinking, man, what am I going to do if this don't work out? You know what I mean? I bet everything we have on this, and
Yeah.
and then you got people out here that don't even
Got
understand the ins
investors.
and outs of it, that are not really working to do anything, that want to critique it. It's frustrating. You sit back and like, I'll give an example of this, and I'm not going to mention names. It is what it is, but it's something that was comical to me to an extent. Is with it being, this is political, but like with some of the political stuff that's going on right now, all the stuff I see on Facebook is like upkeeping your yards and upkeeping your homes, and Abbeville's not clean and people are not taking care of their properties. And one of the biggest critics that I see people talking about on there, their sign is plopped in a yard in a very prominent neighborhood, and the grass is higher than the city code, and it's higher than it ever gets in a lot of other areas. But they're on there.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, in my
Some of
opinion,
their
I've been
signs
noticing
and
that
stay
myself.
right away, and
You know,
then
well, I mean, it's their whole yard, though. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's not in the state right away. It's in a yard. So like,
yeah.
and again, that's comical to me.
Mhm.
But
I'm sorry, Frank. I gotta do it. I need to see your direct guy. Give me one name. Just one name.
Hey, Frank, don't
Don't
listen to this guy. He's trying to
I'm
get you in
direct,
trouble.
but I'm
Nah,
not.
don't
So what I mean,
don't
I'm
do
not
that.
gonna do those things. But
No, it's
You
fine.
can
It's
you can
fine,
go
Frank.
on our episodes and you'll see the
Yes,
name
yeah,
on it.
you'll see that.
But
yeah.
the thing is, stuff like that frustrates me is, if you're going to go out and throw darts, or I appreciate the effort.
Frank, you gotta watch out for this guy,
Hey,
Frank.
I understand. I do the same thing.
Your competitor put him up to it.
So Jerry can talk to this. I am direct, but I'm also a professional manager.
Professional
I know how
manager.
I've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah.
So
Hey, but I get that feeling. Like I own a car lot, and a company in Huntsville dumped a bunch of bad cars we bought at the auction, and we lost $120,000. I mean, we've been around for 3 years, and we already got Business of the Year, bunch of awards. We lost $120,000 the first year. Man, we struggled for 6 months making
for sure.
payroll. Man, one day I finally, it's always that time you finally want to give up. And there's a constant reminder. I mean, I don't know if it's God or whatever. There's a constant reminder in the back of your head, the struggle you've been through.
Mhm.
I've been the kid at school they label as somebody that's in foster care. And the treatment was different. I live here in Abbeville. I went to bed hungry. And now, you own a car lot, a multi-million-dollar business, and you're in the great spot on the highway, but you're struggling to make payroll. those reminder, man,
Mhm.
it gives you the strength.
Yep.
You're like, you know what? I'm gonna go out there and sell 2 more cars.
And
I'm
you,
gonna go
you
out there
walk
and
in
do
and
it.
you look at the people that are working with you and you look
Mhm.
them in the face and you see
Yes.
their kids and their spouses
Yes.
and everybody they support and you're like, I can't fail. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like,
I mean, and then you scared like, what am I gonna tell them? Friday,
Yep.
and then it's always that one last minute, that one last guy that show up.
Yep.
Man, you give them
That
all
saves
they
the day.
got. Hey,
Yep.
sir, you have to buy this car. You know, you do extra, and then that right there also paid off in the recommendation. You will see them leaving a recommendation. You give them the best service, and they do that thing. Man, I understand that. A lot of people that start in businesses, it's important to understand that too. You know, don't give up. You know,
Make
Yeah, you gotta keep
mistakes.
chugging on. You know, my wife and I live by a simple, it's not really a motto, but we say it to each other all the time. If we're facing a situation and there's a choice, so say me and Jerry are doing something and we're in a business deal or whatever example you want to use, but there's a choice got to be made in that moment that either Jerry comes out on the short end of the stick or Frank and Wendy come out on the short end of the stick. My wife's commitment is we will always take the short stick because that is what we are called to do. And if somebody's going to be able to work their way out of it, it's going to be us because we have proven it. I don't know Jerry. I don't know Jerry, what he's been through. I don't know what he's overcome. That short stick for him could break him. You know what I mean? It could cause him to give up. It ain't going to cause me to give up.
no.
So when we're faced with those situations, we're going to be the one that loses every time.
That's absolutely amazing, Frank. I remember as a child coming to America, and there was a sense of customers had value. And what you just said just had me think of this. There was a sense that customers had value. You go to a store, and something was not right, or something as simple as they accidentally put that this thing was 5 cents when it was actually $1. They would honor the fact that they made the mistake.
Absolutely.
Versus today, you do not have that.
Not anymore.
The store manager will come out and argue to say, "I'm sorry, it's $1. Well, we made a mistake that we put 5 cents in it, but it's $1. That's the price you're going to
Inflation, man.
Yep.
So you don't, not just the inflation, but it's just that customer service. It's like it's instinct. It's gone. It no longer exists.
I think it's customer service, and I also think it's unfortunately just a inherent greed as a society. You know, I mean, this is the thing. I'm a businessman, and my goal is to make money. I mean, you know, I could go out here and say, you know, I do it for all these other reasons, and a lot of those reasons are true. But the cold hard facts is I do it to support my family and to make my life better and easier, and my family's life, and my kids' life, and etc. You know what I mean? Um, but there comes a time when you have to choose what is right over the dollar. You know, and we've got a lot of property. We do everything in between. We've got, you know, rental properties. We've got weekly rentals. We got monthly rentals. We got yearly rentals, commercial. We do owner financing. We do Airbnbs. You name it, we do it. But we always live by that motto. Are there going to be people in the world that says that Frank's a jerk? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Those people don't bother me because the people that really know me know who I am. I spend so much time in my business, and you know, I'm not tooting my own horn. I'm just speaking facts, and my wife would attest to this. But like, I spend more time in my business with what I do of trying to teach our community financial literacy, so they don't continue to struggle and live paycheck to paycheck than I do selling houses or renting houses or anything else. Because I do not ever want to sell someone a house or rent someone a house that 3 months from now I'm going to have to come to them and say, I got to kick you out because you can't pay your bills. You know what I mean? Like in absolute as finite explanation as I can, explain how things work. I will work with you, communicate with me. This is what happens if you don't do this. This is what happens if you don't do this. For instance, like, you know, you mentioned you just got your mortgage license, and, you know, we do some owner finances and stuff like that. Owner financing, the interest rate's going to be higher because I'm a single operator. I have a lot of risk. If you come in and don't pay or you destroy the house, I'm not Wells Fargo. You know what I mean? Like, I can't take that hit on a $150,000 house.
You will not get bailed out.
You know? So the thing is like, I spend so much time trying to explain, you know, your goal is, if I say I will finance you this house for 20 years, your goal for yourself and for your children should be pay that house off in 15 years.
Or less than that.
Exactly. And I go through that every single time. I'm like, okay, so if you have a 30-year mortgage and you pay one additional payment per year, and this is my literal spiel I'm giving you. This is almost everybody that's ever done anything from me hears this. Okay, so this is the payment that would be 30 years. If you will do this, there's 12 months in a year, right? We can all agree on that.
Yes.
If you pay 13 payments a year instead of 12, so when you get your income tax, you make one additional payment.
Yes.
One additional payment. It varies based on the price of the home, obviously. It's not an exact number, but if you make one additional payment per year on a 30-year note, you will pay that house off in about 20 to 22 years by making one additional payment per year. If you will hustle, like change your spending strategy, put yourself on a budget, whatever you do that you spend money on that you know you shouldn't, or you could make better choices
Dave Ramsey style.
and put it towards your house payment, you will have a paid off mortgage in a third of the time or 2/3 of the time.
Yes.
As if you just stick to the pattern. And that goes for car payments, that goes for home loans and everything else. All you have to do is dig a little deeper. Have a yard sale, get a side hustle, stop eating out one day a week, whatever it is that affects you. And it's different for everyone, but whatever it is that affects you, do something a little different to put more money in your family's pocketbook, and then use that money to make a difference. Because yes, if you are used to eating out 5 days a week and you have to go to 4, is that a little bit of a sacrifice? Yeah, but it's not like you're going hungry. You know what I mean? You're just making a little bit of a different choice. But how great is it going to feel that in 20 years from now, you no longer have a house payment? $1,500 a month gone
Yeah.
because it's paid off. And the people that miss the major point of that, yes, that $1,500 a month makes a difference. But the way annualized insurance or interest works on mortgages or car loans or anything else, you sell cars, you know how interest works. The amount of savings that you have by paying that off early, you look at a $200,000 home and you pay that extra payment and you pay it off in 21 years as opposed to 30, you're saving yourself probably $100,000 to $150,000 in interest minimum.
Yeah.
What does that do for a normal person?
Yes, sir.
I mean, $150,000 is a lot of money to me.
Yeah.
And I'm not struggling per se. I have woes like everybody else. I have businesses and payroll and all of that stuff, and it's a big deal to me. But your average 9 to 5 person who's working at Tyson's or Walmart or whatever else, $150,000 that changed their life. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. That put
So-
2 kids through college.
Yeah.
I spend so much time trying to teach that to our community. And there was a reference on one of your podcasts. I don't remember specifically which one, but they said something about
The city being rich.
yeah, what does a rich city do for you?
Yeah.
So what a rich city does is a city with money in the coffers is very, very much less likely to raise taxes, first off. Second off, they are able to implement programs that can teach financial literacy and change people's lives. And that's what a city should be doing. If a city can put in programs at the local center or the SMPA or whatever it's called,
Or like the
or
Dave Ramsey Solutions programs.
whatever it is. I mean, it ain't got to be Dave Ramsey. There's, as the old country saying goes, there's more than one way to skin a cat. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
There's a million ways that works. You got to find what works for you. But cities can do things like that and make a difference in the community. And when you are as a business person, because to make no mistake about it, a city is a business, period. You know what I mean? So you've got to look at it from that perspective. And as a business person, when you're struggling to make payroll, you're not thinking about how I can change this person's life. You're thinking about how I can keep this person's job.
Right.
You know what I mean? When the job is secured and you're like, I got 6 months of money that their job's great. What can I do to make their family better? That's what leaders do.
Yeah.
That's the difference, in my opinion. I could go down a list. There's numbers for days about things. Like 30% of the property in Aberville is owned by landlords.
Right.
I don't know if you know that or not.
Let me make a comment on something you said
Okay.
earlier. There's a lot of people live paycheck to paycheck. I was one of them as a kid. You know,
So was I.
you know, I buy a brand new terrain, GMC terrain to look good. I was working at Cooks, making $14 an hour. Apartment was 500.
Yep.
The payment on the car was 600.
Yep.
What
Insurance
changed?
probably 200.
Yes. What changed my life was one day I read this book. It's called Positive, The Power of Positive Thinking.
Mm-hmm.
I read that, and I had a really bad day. I was driving to my route in DeKalb County, which that's where my pest route was, and I was reading The Power of Positive Thinking. So, that book kind of changed the way I was thinking, because I felt very negative, felt very tired. I didn't have any hope because all the money that I was getting in my bank account, my region account was always negative. My account was negative at the time. I'm driving. So I started doing research. What job pay more?
Mm-hmm.
So I went ahead and got my license. I was a truck driver. I was living in my truck. And during that time, I was reading two audio books per month. And I learned how to manage money. I learned about stock mutual fund. I learned about the stock market. By the time I get out of the truck, I had $500,000 sitting in the bank.
Yep. Just
and
because you changed your thinking.
I changed my thinking. It's a mindset thing. And, my wife at the time, when we first got married, we went and bought a house. We could have paid the house all cash, whatever. When we got the house and, you know, it's just different. I took some time off and got a job in Huntsville, driving truck part-time, 2 days a week. And, like you said, with the investments and stuff, like learning the financial game is the key because it feels good waking up today and say, you know what, I'm going to go play golf. You know what, I'm going to the dealership. I'm going to buy this nice Toyota. I'm going to pay cash for it. But it's also good investing 20% of your paycheck on a stock mutual fund account later on. That's going to save your whole family from not having any money. It feels good, man.
It does feel good, but and I agree wholeheartedly. All that stuff feels great, and same boat. I don't know that I really got into it in depth, but I grew up rough childhood, the whole nine whiny spiel I could give you. Most people wouldn't believe it. It is what it is. I wasn't. I'm not gonna say meant to, but like when you talk about cards stacked against you, I had 7 or 8 decks. You know what I mean? Stacked against me. Perseverance, stubbornness, you name it. I'm literally put together with bolts and screws because of working too much, car wrecks, bad decisions, being in trouble, you name it. I've overcame it. Being a great person, been a crappy person, made bad decisions. You know what I mean? Like done it all. And the success is fantastic. I love being successful. I love my wife being successful.
Yes.
I love that we can like live our life and do the things we want to do. But the most fulfillment that I get on a daily basis is how many people that come to myself or my wife weekly and says, teach us how to get out of the situation we're in. That paycheck to paycheck, day to day. I mean, that's the thing. People like used to live week to week, paycheck to paycheck. Now people are living day to day.
Day to day.
You know what I mean? Having to go to, payday advance places or like pawn stuff or this, that, and the other, everything else under the sun.
To make ends meet.
When they just literally the only thing they need to be taught is how money works. And when you learn how money works and you listen to pay attention, like that's the problem with the world we live in. People listen sometimes, but they don't listen to pay attention. They're not listening to retain, they're listening to respond. You've got to listen to pay attention and listen and learn how money works. Once you learn how money works and what you can do with it, and you learn how to get to the point to where you have money to do something with,
right,
and get your money to work for you, that's when your life changes.
Not the money controlling you.
Exactly.
Not you working.
Like you were talking about, you were working and miserable and looking for jobs to make more money and this, that, and the other because you've got yourself overburdened with rent and
Yes.
car payments and all this, that, and the other.
And
I've done it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I've made those decisions. I've been in those situations and been like, you know, like my choice this week is to pay my car payment or pay my power bill or buy my kids groceries or whatever else. And I sat and looked at myself in the mirror. I'm like, why am I doing this to myself? You know what I mean? Like, what's the goal here?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like this is not beneficial to me. It's not beneficial to my kids because there's going to be one week when I can't do either.
Right.
You know, so let's figure this out. You know what I mean?
And-
Started reading,
Yes.
asking questions,
Yes.
looking for mentors, and listening to figure
Mhm.
out. Like there is people that have had a similar situation
You're speaking fire, man. You're
and
speaking
raising
fire.
that I have
Yes, it's
that
like
got out of
fire.
it. So if
Mhm.
they got out of it, why can't I get out of it?
Yes.
And like I don't know where the camera is, but that's the thing I want everybody
Right.
to understand.
Right here, yeah.
If I can get out of it,
You can get out of it. Yes.
If you have a question, my
yeah.
office is on down Main Street, downtown Aberville, and
Yes.
you are welcome to knock on my door
Right.
anytime. I may not answer, but you can leave a note, get in contact with me. Jerry's got my phone number, Jeff's got my phone number,
Yes.
and I think now Jimmy's got my phone number. I will help you, however, and that is my goal. Is again, I'm in business to make money.
Mhm.
I don't deny that. It's a
Mhm.
business. I got to be profitable. I have people that work for me. But I want to change lives. And
Right.
it is nothing more fulfilling than to watch someone walk in my office or come work for me or come ask me questions and they close their first real estate deal or they buy their first rental property or they do their first wholesale deal or they do this, that, and the other. And, you know, my assistant right now, he started, you know, a few months back and he just recently did his first wholesale deal and made good money on it. You know what I mean? And that
And it feels good as somebody, like I said, as the instructor, because you came from the struggle and now you learn about the struggle. You know how to instruct somebody.
Because the difference is when you watch, like it's one thing to like, so like when you're in the heat of it and you're like you were talking about
you can't see it.
You went and worked driving a truck, slept in your truck and whatever else. Like you slowly feel yourself come out of the struggle and get on the other side of it. But to sit back when you're no longer in the struggle per se, and that kind of them, we all
Feels
have
good.
struggles. You know what I mean? But when you're able to sit back and watch it from afar and watch that person come up like a phoenix rising from the ashes and watch their life change, that's the best feeling in the world when you watch them come out of it.
And it's not the brand new car smell, because I've been there, I've done it. It's always, you know, when you help somebody else get across the line. And because the thing about success is, this is why a lot of people get a lot of money and commits, you know, and they end up losing it, or they end up being addicted to drugs, you know, or something end up happening bad, you know, because they're trying to find the fulfillment. But really, if you have money, serving your community, giving back.
Yep.
You know, the special thank you, the Christmas thing we do with the kids, and Mary Tracy is one of our biggest sponsors. It's always a great joy, because I remember when I was a little kid living here in Ruby Avenue, I did not have Christmas, and I had to sit next to guys like Jerry in school and all these guys, and they're like, "What you do with holidays? Spend time with family." But you didn't have that, you know. But now you want to help the next generation have Christmas, have present under their tree, and that's the greatest feeling, man. I tell you, when I started having money, I became an alcoholic, because once you have everything, you slowly lost touch with the reality.
The thing is, you think that like success is like the fulfillment. You think once you get this, like you're going to be happy and all of this and that and the other. And I think everybody goes through that stage. My thing is like I went through so many highs and lows in my life. I've been successful in a bunch of different ventures, and you know, from working a 9 to 5 to managing restaurants to managing, you know, grocery stores across the country. I've traveled all over this country. I've lived in all kinds of cities. I've lived in cities that were run horribly. I've run in cities that were run great. I've lived in cities that the leaders cared. I've lived in cities that they didn't. This leadership in this city cares. The people care. Like it is evident in what goes on in the day-to-day operations of the city. You may not like some of it, and that's your absolute prerogative. You know what I mean? But come up with a better plan and sell it to the citizens. And if they like it better, then they'll choose your plan. But like, you know, some of the things that like confuse me, I guess, for a politically correct term. You know, you hear we're not bringing in industry. It's just retail. It's just restaurants, and it's just that and the other. Yeah, it may be at this moment, but step outside and look at the full bubble. This is the full bubble from my perspective, and I'm not the most intelligent person in the world and don't claim to be. But what have we built in this city in the past couple of years? You have the Aberville Innovation Academy or whatever it's called. I don't know the actual name for it. But you know what they teach in that academy? They teach industry.
Mm.
They're teaching people how to work in industries.
Hmm.
So when you know industries know you have that school in your community, where do you think they're going to come look to build? When you have a workforce that's being trained to run those industries. When you have schools like that right down the road, and there's another one at Sneed State, there's another one at the Marshall
Technical.
Technical Facility or whatever else. There's three of them within 15 minutes, teaching hundreds of students a year.
There's actually a
how,
lot more than that.
Yeah, to run factories and industry and do electrical work in factory settings and all the other stuff. You have the Marshall County Economic Development Committee. I don't know the actual name. I'm not great with acronyms, but you got, Matt Arnold and Laura Braswell that's out beating the streets, getting industry in here. That's their selling point. You know what I mean? And that industry that knows that, hey, that's a workforce that's being prepped for us. You don't think they're going to look at us to build that next big industry here? You've got the Aberville Airport that's flying in Delta planes, working on them now, and like having, teaching airport mechanics, aviation mechanics and all that stuff. Tell me the industry is not coming. Just because it's not being built right now doesn't mean it's not in the works. And then I think Ben talked about NDAs with cities and stuff like this. These leaders are working on so many things that they're legally not allowed to talk about. Like, you know what I mean? They have to sit there and get berated because you don't think they're doing anything when you have no clue what they're doing. Does that mean they're perfect? Does that mean they don't do things and make wrong decisions or this, that, and the other? Or, like I said, this is just me being honest. I'm in real estate, and if I was the mayor and I could bring in a massive facility and then help the betterment of the city and also help me personally down the road, why is that a bad decision? You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that's what happened because I don't think it is, but I'm just saying, like, when you're doing what's best for your city, the ancillary benefits to everybody else is minuscule. It's about what's for the city. You know what I mean?
I think it's not about what.
That's called skin and game.
Yeah, it's called skin and game.
Being
But I think
able
it's
to
benefit.
being able to benefit or be harmed by your decisions for whatever you're doing. So there's nothing wrong with benefiting from your good work or paying for your mistakes. That's what a leader should do.
Mm-hmm. And you read the comments that person, which we know who it is, making under that Ben McGon video. It's like those people don't really understand how municipality and government work. They don't even understand how to balance a budget. They don't understand business. They don't understand when you rent a house to somebody, it's technically their property because they're paying you on it, but it's your property.
So that is something I would like to touch on real quick, briefly, because the people, I don't think they understand it. As I mentioned earlier, 30% of the secondary housing in Aberville is owned by what you would technically call landlords, rental properties. It's secondary housing is what it is. Basically, it means it's not homesteaded. Mm-hmm. So anything that's not homesteaded has a double tax rate based on the homestead. So homesteads are taxed at 0.44% of the value. Non-homesteaded is taxed at 0.9%, basically, yearly. So you have 30% of the property in this city that's being taxed at a non-homesteaded rate. Just say I waved a magic wand and all that was automatically homesteaded. You know how much money this city would lose every year because that went from secondary housing to homesteaded? About $1.5 million based on current property tax rates. And as you mentioned, when I sign a lease with someone, in general, and it's not this city, it's not Alabama, it's the United States in a whole.
Everywhere.
Nothing about the court system is landlord friendly.
No.
I have a person right now that owes me $10,000 in back rent that I cannot get out of my property. I'm going through the process. Nothing I can do about it. Well, what a lot of people don't understand is when you, and I'm opening myself up to this, it is what it is. You know what I mean? You know, you take the good with the bad, but um, when you sign a lease with someone, you have parameters in that lease that says you have to abide by city codes, you have to keep the yard mowed, you can't keep broke down cars, you can't do all of this. My lease says all of that stuff that's beholden to the city code. If that person does something that's against my lease and I don't like it and the city don't like it, I can go on their property and demand them to fix it. And you know what they can do? They can call the cops and have me removed
Yeah, it
because
happened to me one
they
time. Yeah,
have the rights
right
to
to
the
the
property
property.
as long
Yes,
as they have a signed lease.
Mhm.
I can't go mow their yard. I can't go pick up trash in their yard. Do most people work with you and are understanding? Yes,
Mhm.
90%.
and there's cases where somebody, a landlord, show up in one property and they shoot you. I mean,
I
yeah,
mean, yes, there's those extreme cases, but that's not
yeah,
what I'm talking about. I'm talking about your average everyday thing where the code enforcement, I mean, I don't have a lot of problems with it, thankfully, because I'm very upfront with my tenants and I'm very blunt and all of the stuff. Y'all kind of got the gist of my personality. I'm very to the point, and I'm going to tell you if you piss me off, you're going to know it. You know what I mean? And I'm going to share it with you. And there's going to be, it is what it is. You know what I mean? You
yes,
like me or you don't. At the end of the day, I'm going to lay my head down the same because I know who I am and I know what I do. But um, I'm in contact with the code enforcement. Tracy himself has texted us and said, "Hey, you've got a property over here that has got some trash in it, and da 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 da. Can you get it cleaned up?" Absolutely. The tenant hadn't mowed the yard. A dog had gotten some trash. Went and got it cleaned up. That stuff is happening all over the city. There is not a city in the state in the United States that I could not drive through if I knew the city codes that I couldn't tear it apart. It
Mhm.
is easy to tear stuff apart. You know what I
yes.
mean?
Mhm.
And the CD is a living organism. I think I told you this the other day. The CD is a living organism. What that means is anybody that knows what a living organism is, which is what we all are,
Yes.
you fix one problem, tomorrow there's a new
Yes.
problem because it is constantly evolving and ever changing. It is never a solution end all be all fixed to anything in life. That is not the way the world works. That is not the way business works. That is not the way the city works. That is not the way your body works. It just does not work like that. You fix one problem, there's another problem. It is constantly ever evolving and ever changing,
And
and you
that's
have
how it
to
is.
adjust.
And that's how it is in government. The laws changing every day. You in that office, and
Yep,
you have to constantly doing research on different codes.
yep.
You can't just go and kick this person out because
And that's some
and
of the
then
things I hear spouted about.
yes,
And I'm not even necessarily saying the people that are running from office. Just some of the comments that I've seen is that first off, some of those things would never get passed or whatever they call it, ratified as city code. And then if they by chance did, some of the things is immediately going to get the city in a lawsuit. You know what I
and
mean?
that's
You
when
know,
we
like
bankrupt. That's when we don't have no more policing, crime, and no fire department. I
Jeff's
mean,
been making this point
yeah, that's why
to
I mean,
I'm very blessed. This is the greatest thing. I'm very blessed for the mayor sometimes to let me sit down in certain meetings,
hmm,
and I have a insight informations on municipality thanks to the mayor because sometimes he's working on something. He's like, "Hey Jeff, can you come in?" And I sit down with all the council, the lawyers and stuff. I sit down in one of those meetings with that, and sometimes I'm very blessed to see that insight because when somebody come and sit here and tell me that, oh, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and I'm like, that's not how it works, my friend. Half of those people running for city council, they talk about, okay, we're gonna bring this and that,
well,
we're
so
gonna do
like
this.
one of
You
the things
can't do that.
I read this stuff and like I'm busy. I typically, I mean, this is it's whatever, but I scroll through Facebook usually using the bathroom or if I'm sitting there eating or something. You know what I mean? Like it's not like it is what it is, or if
Me
I'm being
too.
funny. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like so, like it doesn't involve my life because I got real stuff to do. But um, some of the things that are just like that, it just doesn't even make sense because I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, I'm a business person. Um,
Yeah.
and if you come in and I have rental properties, and if you come in and you pass something that tells me I've got to pay whatever to do this to operate in your city,
There's
I'm not
nothing
going to pay
sitting.
that. It's going
Yeah,
to be
there's
passed
nothing
to the
sitting.
renter. And
Yeah.
like the thing is rent's already high. You know what I mean? For a lot of reasons. You
Well,
know.
then let's talk about that. Actually, I was waiting for an opportunity to jump in. But let's start off with the high rent. But
Mhm.
we've seen a tremendous increase in rent. What's your thought and input on that?
So it's like what I just said. It's a multifaceted problem, and it's a multifaceted solution to get to where it needs to be. Um, Rent is a necessary evil, unfortunately. Um, if you don't have rental properties, you're going to have a lot of people that don't have anywhere to live. And it goes back to what I talked about earlier. And it's because people don't understand credit, they don't understand how to use money, they have bad financial habits, so they can't buy homes. I could go out here next week and build 200 brand new houses and put them on there, and I could sell them. I couldn't because you can't build them, but I could sell them for $150,000. And 60% of the people that are currently in rental homes couldn't qualify for it because they don't have credit, job security, or whatever else, either through a bad status in life, bad situation, whether it's their fault, somebody else's fault, whatever else. There's every possibility you can think of. I can go about it for days. Um, but the cold hard facts is there are homes out there for people to buy that are qualified for them. Is it more expensive? Yes. Rent, in particular, is expensive for a couple of reasons, and this is not an exhaustive list, but landlords, and I hate that term, I use it jokingly because it's just an idiotic term, but um, people that have rental property were hit hard through COVID
Hmm.
because people were not made to pay rent in a lot of aspects. I just told you one example where I have someone that's living in one of my homes that I have a mortgage on and owes me $10,000. They're not paying, but you know who's still paying?
You still
You
paying
are.
that money?
Me. You know who's still paying the taxes?
You still
Me.
paying the taxes?
You know who's still paying the insurance?
You
Me.
still paying the insurance?
Um, you know who's still fixing stuff that tears up on it? Me. You know what I mean? Roof leaks. They ain't paid rent in 3 months. Guess what? I still got to go fix it, or I can just let my house rot. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of the problem. Is you have people that don't take care of other people's property, that don't pay rent. That's a big part of it, because the bottom line is this, and I guess the best way I can explain it, that part of it is this: we have laws, right, in a city. You know why we have laws? Have you ever really thought about it? Why do we have most laws? It's because somebody did something absolutely so stupid that they had to pass a law to keep somebody else from doing it, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So we have red lights because at one point in time, when cars started coming about, people were just zooming through intersections and they ran over each other. So we put a red light because people wouldn't pay attention.
It's a need.
Rent goes up because you have some tenants, in some cases, not all. I'm blessed. I have a lot of great tenants. There's a lot of good people in the world, but you have one occasionally that will come in, not pay rent, not take care of your property, and then when you finally get them out, you have to go in and rehab it and spend $15,000-$20,000 redoing a house that you had just remodeled before they moved in, that you're now sitting at a loss on, that you hadn't had a payment paid to you in 6 months, that you've paid. So guess who's going to pay for that remodel? The next tenant, because it's a business, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you've got to raise the rent a little bit to get it back to where it's profitable. Because at that point, you have a choice to make. You either figure out how to make your business profitable or you sell it. Like, I don't want to sell my business. I don't want to sell a house because real estate's a great investment, right? But it's got to turn a profit for it to make sense as a business, right? So that's part of the problem. People not taking care of other people's property, not paying their bills on time, not making sound financial decisions. That's a big part of it. COVID was a big part of it because landlords are trying to recoup from, a year or more in some cases of not getting any rent. And the other part of it people don't understand is it's a little bit different now. But when I first started doing this, the average, and I'm talking about nationwide, everybody could pick it apart, but nationwide, the average when I first started in the rental business, your average landlord made about $150 profit. And I'm talking about pure profit after expenses per door. So if you have 10 homes, you're making 10 times $150, right?
1,500.
Do you know how much chaos it is to manage 10 rental properties for $1,500? It's about like Tracy Honey working part time as a mayor, making 60, 70 grand a year or whatever he has. The headache and the amount of time it takes versus the return.
It's not there.
If you were like to look at it from a perspective of like, you could go and I don't know what's an easy like drive a truck. You could go drive a truck and you could make $2,000 a month. You're going to have to sleep in the sleeper. Or you could do this and you're going to get phone calls all hours of the night. Something's constantly going to be broke. It's always going to be on the weekend when you have to pay an HVAC person double overtime, or they're going to get in a fight with their spouse, or some crazy cousin going to come over and knock a window out of your house,
Mm.
or this, that, and the other. And it's constantly all day long, every day. And you're like, I'm going to make $150 to deal with that all month.
Mm.
Would you do it?
That's
I
You
would.
know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. It's like, and I said, you get good and bad. You know what I mean? I'm like, I said 95% of my tenants are fantastic. I
Yeah.
would cook them supper. I've let them hang out in my house. They're just great people. They're either starting out early in life, either just got divorced, or they're young, or, got laid off, or whatever else, and they're trying to figure life out. And this is just the truth, and most of them will tell you this. Most people that have to rent from me or buy a home through me or whatever, they get a financial lecture. They just do. Probably 90% of them. Because it is just what I feel like I'm called to do.
Yeah.
If you don't want to hear it, then I guess you probably need to go rent from somebody else.
These
Because
are all,
I do
you
that.
know,
I do that too. Because when a 16-year-old come up to my lot, and when I used to have extra money, I can find this one car, and they show up. They want a $17,000 Lexus,
mhm.
and I was like, let's do a budget. How
Yep.
much you make?
Exactly.
Mhm.
And that's what we
you
should
go,
do.
Yeah.
and
you
then
know?
like there should be and then you figure it out.
Yep.
Well, this kid is working at McDonald's. He's like, well, I'm making $500 a month, but what happened if you get sick one week?
Yep.
yeah.
You
Yep.
know, you're not gonna get paid.
So,
And so
back
that's the
to-
thing, and back to
Mhm.
like my point with this, and I'll wrap it up because I am long winded. My wife told me not to be long winded, but rent. So, like I said earlier, we owner finance or seller finance some homes or whatever else, and I have those same conversations with people. Like, I do not want you to give me $5,000 or $10,000 down payment, and then 6 months from now, we have to come take your house from you. Like, do not put yourself in that situation. If you cannot afford these payments, tell me you can't afford these payments, and I'll find you something cheaper.
Yes.
We'll figure out something that works for both of us.
Mhm.
Do not put yourself in a bad situation. And then I go the whole spiel about paying extra to pay it off and the whole nine or whatever else.
You give them a class.
You
You
know
give
what I
them technically have to give them a class on that.
I don't, but I do. And I tell them this. I'm like, I'm 45 years old. I don't want to be collecting rent payments 30 years from now. You know what I mean? And I don't want you to be paying rent payments 30 years from now.
Yeah.
And when every person I tell, pay your house off, it costs me money. I could sit there and be like, take 30 years to pay it off. You know what I mean? Because that, as I told you earlier, if you pay it off early, in 10 years early, and you save yourself $100,000, guess where that $100,000 is coming from? If you're buying from me, it's coming from me because
Mhm.
that's my profit over that time frame.
Yeah.
But I would rather you have a paid off house and me have $100,000 less, because what I need $100,000 at 75 years old for?
It's
I'm
like it's
2
like
days from dying at that
yeah.
time. You know what I
I
mean?
mean, it's like
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
These
Go
are
ahead,
great
yeah.
examples
Uh-huh.
but
of,
the thing
of
with the rent, and like the one thing I want to finish up with that part of it is to make people understand. We talked about mortgages and how it works. You just got your mortgage origination, certification or whatever. I don't know what actually interest rates are right now, but say they're 5.5%. A good first-time home buyer with good credit, whatever else, that can go get a loan. Say they get 5 to 5.5% interest, whatever else. I'm a business. I don't get those interest rates. If I go buy a home and I don't literally pay cash for it,
it's hard.
I'm getting 8 to 8.5 to 9% interest on my loan.
Sometimes 10.
Sometimes 10, depending on your relationship with your banker. But what I also don't get is a 30-year note. So I'm paying a higher interest rate
15.
with a 15-year note. So what does that tell you about my house payment with the way prices have went up on houses? So if you can buy a $100,000 house at a 5% interest rate and your mortgage payment is $700, that's not accurate math. I'm not a genius. I'm not Rain Man, so don't take that as word. But just as an
That's about
example,
right.
say it's $700.
Yeah.
I go buy the same house with different terms. Say I get lucky and I get 8%, and I get 15 years. My payment's going to be $1,100 to $1,200, and then I've got taxes on top of that, which I've already said is doubled over a homestead, right? So I have to pay more taxes. And then I have to pay insurance on top of that, which is already more expensive because it's a rental property, which has a higher risk for litigation because we are in a sue happy world. So my payment at that point in time is $1,400 for the same house that your house payment is $700. So you tell me why rent's higher. Because after all of that, I still have to budget in vacancy. I still have to budget in repairs. I still have to budget in if I made the wrong choice on a tenant and they don't pay their rent for 6 months, and still be profitable and still have the ability to go and financially lecture people.
Yeah.
I also still have to have the ability to take my wife on vacation when she says I need a break.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, as I said, and I don't break bones about this, I'm in business to make money.
Yes.
Do I want to change people's lives along the way?
No.
Absolutely. I do. I want everybody to be where I am
Yeah.
10 years from now.
And it's the same thing with a dealership. Why is used car so high? You go to the auction, you get a car for $6,000, and then you get out of the auction, you get a post sale inspection for $300. By the time you pay $500 auction fee, that's $800 extra, and then you have to pay once you get the car there. You got to get it inspected. You got to put more money in it, and then you only usually have $1,500 to $2,000 to $4,000 margin, and if that car's sitting on your lot,
and that's if you do everything perfect.
Yeah, that's if you do everything perfect. And if the car's sitting in your lot for over a month, you have it on floor plan, you're gonna have to pay interest.
Yep.
You know, guess who those interests? That's why we charge. That's why certain people charge a higher dock fee. When I was in the other side of it, I was like, well, these people are crooks. No, they got people to pay.
Mm-hmm.
They have to keep the nice building, the water, the free water that they give you once you hit. Welcome to this lot.
It wasn't free to them.
It wasn't free to them. So they're charging it to you in another way. I mean, business is business. You know, I can't call a man a crook for putting 20% payment on a rent on a buy here, pay here. At first, I would because I didn't understand it. Because you know why? There's somebody driving their car that's not making the payment, and then they damage the car, they trash the car. By the time they get the car back, they already lost money on that car. You know.
And 2 points I will add to that with not just cars, but with everything. Like the world we live in right now, everything is made disposable.
Right.
Stuff does not last, and it's more expensive than ever. It's not made as well as it used to be. It doesn't last as long as it used to, so you don't get the longevity out of it. I mean, I've got a pretty new pickup truck. It's 3 or 4 years old now, I think. It's got 65,000 miles on it, which is, you know, I guess depending on your opinion, but it's already smoking and using oil. 65,000 miles.
Let me guess.
You know
it's a Chevrolet.
Absolutely, it's a GMC. But you know what I mean? The thing is that like stuff like that, stuff is made to be disposable. They don't last as well. And you can, like I said in the beginning, my main point is this: it's easy to critique. You can sit there and call me a crook all day long, all you want. But what you can't tell me and call me is not transparent, because there's not a person who has bought anything from me that has not sat there and been explicitly told what they're buying, how they're buying it, how they're paying it, and ways to save themselves money. And so if you, at that point in time, if I sit there and I tell you, like, excuse my bald head, but like, Jeff, would you like to buy this house or this hat for $1,000? I'll sell it to you at $2 a month.
$2 a month, probably
and,
not.
You probably not, right? But I guarantee you, if I went enough people and said that, somebody would buy it eventually.
Yeah, because they want
and
it.
At that point in time, if you say yes, and I tell you, you know, this is only really, if you pay cash for it, this is only worth $50.
Mm-hmm.
You want to pay $1,000 for it? Well, I don't have $50, but I can pay $1,000. You know, and you choose it. You're an adult. You made a choice at that point in time. You know what I mean? And I tell you, like, okay, so it's $1,000, but because I want you to better your life, and I know you really want this hat. So what I will do is, if you'll pay an extra dollar every month, that price will come down to $500. And you choose not to pay that extra dollar a month. Whose fault is that?
It's your fault.
You know what I mean?
It's your fault.
And that goes, and when I use this example, I don't use homes. I use homes and cars and everything in between. I tell anybody, anything with interest attached to it. Anything with interest attached to it. It has a principle. And if you will go pay extra towards that principle,
You're gonna get it
you
done.
will save yourself tons of money. I don't care if it's $1 a month.
And Frank, one thing is, I do not like put Haitians in buy here, pay here car, because the thing is, their mentality is cash is king. They're gonna pay that loan within 2 years. So the cars, I'm like, well, I gotta get some interest, guys. I mean, because you're profiting off that interest. But if that guy come up and show and pay 70%, 75% of that principal of the loan, you're not gonna make anything. So technically, you're letting them use your money for free.
And that's the thing. Interest is a necessary evil in the world we live in, because things are so expensive and it just is what it is. But there's ways to mitigate it and there's ways to make it work for you if you're smart. Um, like for instance, I bought, my pickup truck a couple years ago. I've got good credit. I had the money to pay cash for it if I wanted to,
No.
but they were offering 1.5% interest. Why would I use money when I can get that truck at 1.5% interest, when I can take that same money I would have paid cash for and buy something else that's going to get me 10%?
Right.
That's where you learn how money works.
And
sometimes it makes sense to pay cash for something.
Yeah.
Sometimes it don't, depending on what it is and the situation.
And that's why I disagree with Dave Ramsey at, don't borrow debt. I'm like, dude, you can use other people's money to actually make more money for yourself.
If you are smart with it.
If you are smart with it.
And that you have to always be smart with it. Have a contingency plan and have a contingency plan for your contingency plan. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's ways to do that. There's ways to work through it, and there's ways to understand it. But at the end of the day, we're all adults. And if I sit and explain something to you and you still at that point in time decide that's what you want to do and you don't listen to any of my advice, then I was never going to be able to help you anyways, and somebody else is going to make a lot more money off of you than I was.
And what I'm saying is, Frank,
at least I gave you a chance. That's the way I look at it. And you know what I mean? You can call me what you call me. You can feel how you feel. I ain't going to change.
Yeah. And just to be clear, just to make it clear, so we don't be like, well, they telling us to get high loan out. Not everybody out there is honest. There's a lot of crooks out there and dealers.
Absolutely.
So what we're talking about our point of view of business. People can't say I crook any of them on my deals. If you look at my rating, I'm one of the highest dealer on the mountain. Same thing with Frank. I heard some great things about you, actually.
Well, there's some good things about me. I'm an asshole. You know what I mean? Like,
everybody.
I don't know if I can go on this.
Everybody's an asshole.
But I'm probably the nicest. Probably the nicest one you ever met. But so this is the thing. You were mentioning this, and this is the way I feel about that. As I told you, the way we do rentals, Airbnbs, weekly, monthly rentals, you name it, we do it. I've got my hand in a little bit of everything. Construction, remodels, whatever. I do way more than I want to most days. But when people come to me and they want like a seller finance or an owner finance or whatever different rent on, whatever terminology the person wants to use, I ask them, again, this is where I struggle with like Haitian, the language barrier, Hispanic. I'm a little bit better with Spanish than I am Haitian. I don't know, but like maybe 2 words from Haitian.
We're working on that with your translation.
Yes, translation.
So I do struggle with that, but I try to use Google Translate and call people
it's
that I know.
not accurate at all, man.
Yeah, it's not. It's got me in some situations. So. It got me some situations. It got me some situations in Spain too, like when I went run with the bulls and all that crazy stuff that I did.
You ran with the bulls.
Yes, I did.
Frank just got back from running with the Bulls 2025. Tell us about that, Frank.
Yeah, tell us.
Let me finish this point. This is more important than me loving on myself. But so when someone comes to me and they want to do a seller finance, understanding that I can communicate it to them, what I ask them is a couple of things. Why do you think you need this? Do you have bad credit? Can you prove your income? Or whatever other blockade is keeping you from going to Wells Fargo or Citizens Bank or Liberty Bank or Family Savings. Why are you not going to them to get a loan? That's what I ask them. And then based on that answer, I decide for them if an owner finance is what they need. And if it's not, I tell them you don't need to do this. You need to go call a real estate agent. My favorite real estate agent is Wendy Patterson at Sold by Wendy.
Because you're sleeping with her?
Yeah. But if you want to use another one, that's up to you. No, that and because she knows more than most people on the market.
Exactly.
There's some really good ones out there. Main Street Realty, best real estate company out there in my opinion.
Main Street Realty.
Honest, experience.
Shout out to Gene.
You got Tanya DePrima, Wendy, that my
Yes,
wife
there's
that
a
works
lot of
there.
people
There's
that
some
works
there's some
there.
hosses there, and there's a lot of other great real
They
estate
got a
agents
team
in
of
other
all
areas.
stars up there,
They
right?
absolutely do. I mean,
Yeah.
they're one of the smaller branches out there, and they do more volume than most of the big
Tanya
ones.
Tanya
So
DePrima
speaks
is
to
an all
itself.
star too.
So
Shout out to her. She's an all star.
unbelievable.
Yes.
So
She tried to talk me into being a realtor at the
Yeah.
4th of July party. I was
I couldn't do it. I watch what my wife goes through being a real estate agent.
Yeah.
I don't have the patience for it. So back to my point. That's my first question. Why are you coming to me? Why do you think you need this? Based on their answer, I steer them one direction or the other. If they're close to being able to be approved for a traditional loan, I recommend them to some people that can help them fix their credit to get them there. Or I say, if you absolutely want to buy an owner finance, I will sell it to you if you have the money. But
So
you
there's people
must
out there.
absolutely work on fixing your credit. And I expect you within 6 months to come to me with a payoff.
There's people out there that fix credit.
Yes. Or help,
Really?
necessarily, I mean, there's credit fixing programs, but there's a lot of people out there that will look at your credit and tell you exactly what you need to do to fix your credit.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
There's people that says they fix credit. I don't know how legitimate that stuff is, but you can have a mortgage officer pull your credit and he say, okay, you need to make $10,000 more per year, or you need to pay this credit card off, or you need to fix this repossession you got, or whatever else, and then you will qualify. So that's what I mean when they're close. You know what I mean? Like there's somebody that's got one or two little things that they need to fix to be able to go buy their forever home.
Yeah.
And that's what I tell them. This is not for you. You don't want to do this. This is for somebody who runs their own business that don't file their taxes correctly, or whatever reason it is you think you need an owner finance, or you don't have any credit, or whatever else. That's what owner financing is for. And I have the same conversation with those people. Why do you want to pay interest to me for 30 years when you can like pay a little extra and pay it off in 20?
Right.
It doesn't make financial sense. Make it make financial sense.
So one extra payment per year
Will make drastic difference.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
anybody takes anything away from that, if you have a mortgage, whether it's an owner finance, it's Wells Fargo, or any other bank in the world, car payment, whatever else, make one extra payment every time you get a chance.
There's a
and you
thing
save
I used to
yourself
do
tons of money.
where I get I get a HELOX on the home, and I use all that HELOX and put it toward the principal.
Well, there's
Is
all
that-
kinds of ways, and that,
what do you think about
I
that?
could talk about that stuff for days, and that's way too deep.
You know what I'm
I
talking
want,
about?
yes, I want basic financial literacy taught to our community. That's what I want.
Do you have any plans as far as like doing any
Classes
like classes, like
at our
podcast
school,
like
for
this,
instance.
like a podcast class, some.
I don't have any plans, but I would absolutely be willing to like speak at a class or do those kinds of things. I don't
We'll
have a
invite
problem
you
with
to
it.
the school.
We could
Okay.
definitely invite you to.
We do have for the community. We do have a school, Linda, Jimmy, and I, and we teach people how to live here, and we get them through the training, teach them English, and then get them through the CNA program.
Medical entry level.
Medical
And
entry level.
Of course, once we get
Talk
a few
about
things
it.
straightened out, as far as that goes, not only take them from into the medical entry level, but we want to be able to offer phlebotomy. We want to be able to offer a medical assistant again at a level that the quote unquote minority will definitely be able to understand. But it's just getting a few things, of course, the back because everything.
That's great. I mean, that's something that's needed too,
Global.
especially in like the medical like kind of stuff, because you think that's that's what your average person doesn't think about. If like, I mean, I obviously speak English, but like if I didn't, and I like, well, I mean, for instance, we'll segue into this. Like when I was in Spain, it was very close to having to need medical attention. I don't speak Spanish enough to be able to tell them what I need. You know what I mean?
Huge. Yes.
You know what I mean? So
Yes.
like if you go into a hospital or a doctor's office or whatever else, and there's nobody there you can communicate with, you can't even tell them what's wrong with
It's
you.
hard,
You know
yeah.
what I
And
mean?
it
Like
could be a
it's,
middle of life.
And
You know,
the
like that's- yeah,
medical
for sure.
medical terminology is a language within itself.
Right, so-
Oh, for sure.
And that's why me and Jimmy and Linda, we're trying to change the interpreting game, because if you call a certain language lines, they don't really have trained, certified medical interpreter, because those terminology change every day.
They
yeah,
do.
and there's slang and there's subtle nuances
Yes,
to
it's
everything,
always
regional
nuances,
based
yeah.
on stuff. You know what I
Guys,
mean? So
true,
like,
true story. A lot of the facilities or companies out there, especially the medical, because of the HIPAA regulations, even if you call with somebody that is going to translate for you, a family member or friend, they
Mhm.
will not allow it.
And HIPAA is tightened up every
Oh
day.
wow.
And they'll not allow
Mhm.
you to actually have somebody on the phone to translate for you. It has to be one of their people
It's
that
Like
they're
certified
certified
certified or something.
interpreter.
Wow.
to interpret. And I've been in a situation where I'm helping a client and I'm making a call for them, and the company or the medical representative is refusing to let me translate
And then it
due to their regulation and the HIPAA regulations. So they call this company to go ahead and translate. So I get to stay on the phone and observe this. And the person they're translating for probably speak
can't
better English than the person
best
translating for
translation
them.
for them,
Yeah.
yeah.
A call that could have been, I've been in a situation where a call that could have literally take 15 minutes and be done to
Done with
take care
it.
of what we needed,
Exactly.
ended up being a 2 hour call
Yeah.
just because the individual who was translating
Yeah.
just made
Jumping
things.
through red tape. Yeah.
You know the craziest thing is if three companies are talking to one person, there's three interpreters.
Go.
And then if I'm from Humana and there's one from Simply or Cigna or one of them, they're better. Okay, so I'm from the insurance company and they from Boston Medical Center, whatever. And there's three interpreter on the line, and you the veteran interpreter that's doing it the right way. And then you hearing these other interpreters, I'm like, whoa, they're not. That's not accurate.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like that game where you
Yeah.
tell somebody something
Yeah.
and then
The
you
whisper-
tell
the
somebody.
And you
game
cannot,
Whisper
and you
game.
cannot call them out.
Yeah.
You cannot call them
Yeah,
out.
that's crazy.
No, I mean, and the thing is about it, Frank. If you say gordos, for instance, in French, I cannot say, oh, Frank said gordo. I have to say gordo. If you say F this, I'd say F this. I cannot say Frank say F this because technically I'm being a mouthpiece for
You
you.
that mouthpiece, that's right.
And I have to do it in first person.
Mm.
If I say you mother, and I have to say it. And I had an incident with a guy one time. The Albertville Police Department called an interpreter because the guy had a problem with me, a Haitian guy. That interpreter was one of my interpreter that I hired on in the language side. It was horrible. The way that he was translating, it's like he's not using word for word.
Yeah.
And the thing about speaking three languages, four languages, is that one day your English is crap. The next day, your Creole is better.
That's when you just
Yeah.
like you'd be like me.
Yes.
I speak one language and it's called Southern Idiot. So
Nah,
it's,
man.
you know
It's
what I mean?
just-
Like I barely get through English. So you know what I mean? Like
I wish I said. I wish I only speak English. That's my thing. I don't like speaking different languages because I have ADHD. Most of you that watch the show notice that I move a lot. It's like I'm very ADHD is like a curse and a blessing at the same time.
yeah.
And I'm a very creative mind. He can tell you I can create things like I can come up with an idea. It's gonna work, because I'm ADHD. I get creative, right? But also, I can't sit still like Jerry and him. I put
Man, I got
paper in
two
the ground all the
languages
time, right?
and
You-
I
you
love
think-
my
you
two
tell you what's
languages.
worse than being
That's
being
true.
bilingual
Yeah.
is not being bilingual. Because let me tell you my experiences with stuff from being a pasty white guy that doesn't speak any other language but English and don't speak it real well. You go anywhere. We go to Mexico or Mexico a lot, and
Mexico.
all those places. You go to Spain and wherever. You walk in somewhere and you learn enough of the language to greet. You're like, "Hola, cómo está?" And then they go. I'm like, hold up, that's all the Spanish I know. Slow down. You know what I mean?
It's all I need.
Hold up. And I'm like, you learn those little catchphrases like, comida abierto, and they're like, yeah, okay, let's just give me some food. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're over in Spain, and we go to these restaurants and Italy, Spain, you name it, wherever we were. So many times we walk in there and try to use Google Translate on the menu.
They don't
It
work.
doesn't
Google's don't work.
Nobody speaks English. We don't speak the language.
Forget
So
about
I
Google.
finally learned just like, you know what? Tell the chef to feed me whatever he wants to feed me. You know what I mean? So like, you bring me the food, I'll eat it. I weigh 300 pounds. I'm not gonna.
You ever watched the Key and Peele episode when they were trying to order in French? The guy
Yes.
got it.
Yeah.
She bought a big old glass with oysters. That's how it is.
We were in Corcubion, Spain.
What's it called?
Corcubion. So we quick segue to tell my story about this part of it. As we talked earlier, we went to Europe for a little while. traipsed around, did a lot of cool stuff, saw a lot of cool things. We got to go to the church in Valencia, Spain, that actually has what they believe to be the real Holy Grail, where Jesus drank from the cup, which is an all-inspiring experience. Um, Very reverent, that kind of things. We got to do the Camino de Santiago, which is a spiritual walk for Catholics. We're not Catholic, but we wanted to partake in it. So um, before the walk, we fasted from food, alcohol, and something else that's super important to me for a couple of days prior to the walk, and then we did the walk. The actual whole walk is about 500 miles. We just did the last leg of it because I'm 300 pounds and ain't about to walk 500 miles, and also don't have the time to do that. I would love to do it, but it's just not in the cards for me right now. So, anyways, we did the last leg of it. Walked a little over 20 miles total, fasting. And as I said, I know I've said this a bunch. I weigh 300 pounds. I like to eat. I also like to drink and had to give up all of this. And we did this all amongst something else that's super important.
How
And
many miles?
the last was a little over, right,
Wow.
21 miles is what we walked. No food, no anything, very little sleep. And it was so hot. It was probably 95 degrees. I had a backpack. My wife was with me. I love my wife. I love everything about her. She is the life of the party, beautiful, intelligent, trust her with any real estate deal in the world. She is not an outdoorsy person. So
Mm.
we are walking through woods, mountains, cities, every landscape you can imagine doing this walk. And this is where it renewed my spirit in humanity because you've got these people that have been doing this walk. Like I said, it's 500 miles. People's been doing this for weeks. They've been on the road for weeks. And the goal of the walk is you take no more than what you need for a day. So you carry a backpack, you take one change of clothes and enough food and water to get you through the day. And you are supposed to rely on God, friendliness of strangers, whatever else to get you on through life. Um, so we're doing this walk. We walk through these little towns, people that live in these little shanties in the middle of nowhere, have, nothing to speak of, to their name. They would have food, provisions, water sitting out on the porches for these travelers and these pilgrims walking this journey. And it is the most beautiful sight you would ever see. And that is what, like, it made me think about our hometown because, like, we're not on that trail. If you go look at my building now on downtown Abbeville, there is the shell and the arrow from the Camino de Santiago now plastered on our building, pointing in the direction where the end is. And it's because that struck my wife and my spirit so much because these people that, like I said, don't have a lot to give, but are willing to give their home for a night, water, food, to people they have no idea who they are, where they're from, what they're doing, that is just traveling through their community on a journey to be a better person. And we passed it, so many people, so many like homes and this, that, and the other. And the best part of the story to me of that walk is, for one, me and my wife were able to like grow closer than we ever have. Is the best. If I had to pick one day, if you were to put me before God and He's like, "What's your best day ever?" It would be that day. And it's the day we went without food, everything else for 72 hours total to complete this walk. We were walking through the town. It's called Fistera. It's the last stop before you get to what they used to call the end of the earth. The end of the earth over there is called Finisterre. And they used to think back in the day that it was the end of the earth because it was the westernmost part of Spain. So we're in a little town right before that. No food, barely, we had plenty of water, but I sweat a lot, you know. Um, and my wife also has to use the bathroom every 2 hours. So we stopped in this little bar to use the restroom. Go in there, ask the barkeep, can I use the restroom? Can my wife use the restroom? Absolutely, sure. I'm Southern, very polite. I don't want to just use someone's restroom without giving them something. So I bought a bottle of water, even though I already had water. And there's fountains everywhere over there. But he's a business operator. He's very generous, so I bought a bottle of water. It was, I think, 75 euros, cents in euros, whatever that is. It's probably a dollar in US dollars. Um, this barkeep, seeing that we were weary, I'm covered in dirt, sweaty, look probably, I just been rode hard, put up wet. I look rough. You know what I mean? He comes out with a plate of food, bruschetta, and hands it to us. I'm fasting, so I can't eat it. You know what I mean? Don't want to be rude. So I take it from him, and I'm like, I'll take this and give it to my wife. And he's so friendly. Neither one of us understands either thing either one of us is saying. You know what I mean? So, but the thought of that man let us use his restroom. I bought, a 75 cents bottle of water, and he brought me probably $5, $10 worth of food. You know what I mean? Just and gave it to me. You know, I wrapped it up, put it in a napkin, put it in our backpack. We finished the walk. At that point in time, we had 3.5 miles to go, which is about a 40% grade straight up a mountain face. Was the last 3.5 miles. We get to the end of that walk, and we sat at the end of the earth and broke our fast with that man's food. And that is the most humbling experience I could ever imagine. And, we sat there and we stopped at a little bar on the way, and I got a beer and my wife got something to drink. We took it with us. We got to the end and we sat there and broke our fast with that man's food and libations from being thirsty, and sat there and just like took it in. You know what I mean? And just to think the things, the houses we passed, the people that probably might not even can feed themselves week to week, that are setting food out on porches for travelers and water out on porches for travelers and washing people's clothes for them and giving them somewhere to stay. That is the community that I strive to live in, and what I strive to help people through. And that is what I see in our community.
Mm-hmm.
And I see more often than not. And they're not out bragging about it. They're not talking about it on social media. And they're not running other people down. They're just doing the work.
Yes.
Just do the work. That's my saying. That's my call to
and
action. Do the work. And then we finished that walk. And the second close runner up to that walk is running with the Bulls. That is one of those things. I'm very machismo. I'm a guy's guy, crazy. Tell me to do something, I'll try it. Jump off cliffs, fast cars. You know what I mean? I'll do it.
Power lift.
Power lift.
Yeah.
Hurt myself in the gym, which is why I'm put together bolts and screws.
Can I just add something to the experience at Finistera? Like, there's no amount of money, guys, in the world that's better than water and food after a fast.
Oh.
When you put yourself through a spiritual journey like that, you realize that money isn't everything.
No.
And having some food and some water, or being able to provide that for somebody else,
absolutely,
that's everything.
I would like to add a little bit something. Do you hear how the guy that knows Spanish pronounced that term versus the guy who's pronounced that term?
There's like 10 ways to say it, right?
Yeah,
it's like Fistera, Finistera.
But it is beautiful and magical, and like if you ever have a chance to get over there and even do a section of it, it is by far worth it.
Let me ask you a question. Did you feel renewed after fasting?
I felt renewed. I fast regularly. It's not a
like
new thing
is it a
to me.
spiritual fast you do?
Not typically spiritual. I just do it for health benefits. I do intermittent fasting. I do 72 hours all the time. The fasting part of it was not new to me. It was new to my wife, and she did tremendous with it. My wife is a snacker. She loves to snack all the time. But the fasting with that level of exertion was, and then the other things. The other thing I gave up, which is personal, is more important than food to me. So that was much more of a struggle than the food, but it was the sense of renewal is just indescribable, really. You know what I mean? And like the perspective I walked away with from that was, I mean, like I said, I'm long-winded, as my wife will tell you, but I don't have words for it. I mean, that's just me being honest. It is something next level.
Fasting is like a pushing a reset button. When I struggle with alcohol, whenever I used to go to drink all the time in downtown, and I fast, and I was struggling with alcohol, pornography at the time, and when I started fasting, man, it's just like I had to restructure my whole life around. Because once you come out of that fast, you feel like you're a brand new person.
Yeah, I mean, well, you basically are, because the way fasting works is at 18 hours, your body goes into recycle mode, basically. And then you go into autophagy, and your body basically starts killing off dead cells and replenishing them. I mean, that's what fasting is doing. So your body is renewing itself. So, um, it is phenomenal. And like, you need to talk to your doctor. This is not, I'm not a
You feel
medical
more
professional.
energy,
Da, da,
right?
da, da, da. You know what I mean? More energy, more alert. Like, I can fast and go to the gym and work out for 2 hours, or I can get up and eat breakfast and go to the gym and work for an hour
But
and
it's
be
the
dead.
first two.
You know
It's
what I
the
mean?
first three,
Mm.
2 hours
Yeah,
of
it's
it.
it's 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 rough.
It's
So
yeah.
I'm fixing to have to get out here in a few minutes. I got a meeting at 7 o'clock. But so, running with the bulls. I'll break it down for you real fast. I am very, my wife likes to say, stupid. I don't have any fear. Not stupid in a bad way. I just don't have fear.
No fear.
Like, my belief is, if it's my time to go, it's my time to go. The things I've lived through in life, the situations I've been in, near death experiences, I could go down the list. I have stories for days. Um, it is what it is. It's my time to go. I'd already went. You know what I mean? So, like, there's nothing I can do about it. I'm gonna live life. So, with that being said, I did not take running with the bulls as serious as I should have. Um, Seen it on TV, did some research, um, hold down the line. I was like, this is gonna be cool. Let's go do it. Get over there. There is literally, so you have, the best way I can explain it, the farmers market over here in Appleville, downtown Appleville. They have a square that's probably about that size, and they put about 4 to 5 thousand people in that square and fence them in for the running of the bulls. You are shoulder to shoulder, butt to nut, like, can't move. And I'm going to stop that part of the story and I'll finish it up in a second. Give you a little bit of a hanger on how it works. First day I get there, researched it. The stuff on the internet is all over the place, like the internet is. It's like social media. Half of it's true, half of it's halfway true, some of it's completely false. Get over there, don't know how it works. First day I'm supposed to do it, what you read is you can start anywhere in the path and run to the finish, is what it says on the internet. Get my spot. Wendy gets a spot so she can watch, so she can take some cool pictures, and I can say I ran with the bulls, right? All of a sudden, you see about 15 police officers lock arms and start marching your way, and they push you back. So you start here, and the finish line's here, is where I want to go, and I'm here, and these cops come in right here, and they push me back further and further and further away from the finish line. And as I've said probably 15 times already, I weigh 300 pounds, and I'm 45 years old. I don't like to run. I like lifting weights. I don't like cardio. The only type of cardio I want to do is intimate cardio.
That's
You know what I mean?
That's
I ain't running unless something
important.
big is chasing me, and I'm pretty big. You know what I mean? So they push us back. 1 block, 2 blocks, 3 blocks. And I'm like, what the crap? You know what I mean? Like, this ain't gonna be fun anymore. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna make it because the bulls are gonna outrun me because bulls are fast. And then I turn around and look, and there's police on this side, and they're pushing people both directions and squeezing people and making people leave. And they're like, they start speaking in Spanish, which I don't talk. Um, so I ask somebody that is fluent, and I'm like, what are they saying? And they're saying, if you're in this area, you need to leave. This is the path of the bulls. You cannot be here. You cannot run with the bulls from right here. Da 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 da. So they're clearing it out, and I'm like, crap! I came all the way this way for this bucket list, and I ain't gonna be able to do it. So I get pushed out. I said, where do we go? And they said, there's a square over there that you have to start in, but you better hurry because it's fixing to start. Because the bulls start at 8 o'clock. You have to get there at 5:30 to get in place and to get a place where you can see. So we had been there since 5:30. Now, granted, a week prior, we had finished this fast and this walk that we were talking about. We'd been there since 5:30. Also, you can imagine with something like this, I didn't really sleep the night before, anyways, because it's crazy. Your adrenaline's going, something you've never done that you don't understand in a country that you don't understand and don't know where you are.
And you're excited about it.
Probably 2 hours sleep. Then I find out this sucks. I'm not gonna be able to do it. And it's like, well, you can get to the square, but you better hurry. At this point in time, it's 7:57.
3 minutes.
As I said, I don't run, and when I do run, I ain't fast. So I took off. GPS in my phone, trying to get to the square in a language I don't understand, running through crowds, navigating through traffic. I get to the square that I talked about with the 4,000 people in it, right? way the Bulls run starts is they fire a cannon. You hear boom, and then you hear cowbells. So I'm about from here to my office, which is right across the railroad tracks over there, which people online is probably 100 yards from the square. I hear boom. I'm like, crap, I missed it. So I'm trucking, running over people. That's where the southern politeness went away. Sorry, I know you got trucked by a 300-pound crazy guy from Alabama. I was trying to accomplish something. So I get to the fence. Cops are pushing people back, not let because once it starts, you can't get in there. I catch a cop not paying attention. For legal purposes, this is just a story. This is not reality. I catch a cop not paying attention. I get a fetal adrenaline, grab the fence, which is about 6.5 feet tall, catapult myself up over it, get inside the arena as the cop's not going, and hit the ground running. And I hear a cowbell. And I look, and there's a bull. And do y'all know what Ferdinand is? Have y'all ever read that story as a kid? When you get off this podcast, look up Ferdinand. He's a fighting bull that didn't believe in fighting. Ferdinand just wanted to smell flowers and be pretty. This is the bull I encounter in my bull run. He's just waddling through the crowd, checking it out like he's from Cheech and Chong, like I just burned one down, just lollygagging. And I'm like, all of this effort, and this is what I got. So I follow the crowd, go through, and see my wife, and she's like, "How was it?" And I don't want her to be disappointed. I was like, "It was great." Da 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 da. You know, we did all this, and um,
You scared the bull, Frank.
we go
You
about
scared
we
the
go
bull.
about our day. Later that night, we're sitting down, and I just couldn't take it anymore. And I told her, I was like, "Look, that was not the experience I was looking for." I was like, and really, I mean, it was fun. I was cool. I got to do it, but like, it was not what I thought. Yada 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 yada. Because she originally wanted to do it too, and I wouldn't let her because I'm super protective of my life. It's very dangerous from everything I read. And I was like, you can't do it. It's just not happening. Sorry. Be mad if you want, but it is, the way it is. Um, but after that experience, I was like, it really wasn't that bad. So if you want to do it tomorrow, we will. And she's like, I really don't want to do it, and yada yada yada. And she said, but now that you know how it works, if you want to do it again, you should do it again. I was like, I don't really want to get up that early if you don't want to do it. Like, I mean, it's a lot of work, and it really wasn't that fun. My wife's super encouraging. She's always wanting me to do everything I want to do and be happy with it. And at about midnight, she's like, well, I want you to do it if you want to. I think you're going to regret it. I know your personality. If you don't do it again, you're going to regret it. And we may not ever be back here. So I went to bed thinking about it. I woke up. I had my alarm set, and I looked up, and my wife's over there. She's already getting dressed. And in my head, I was like, when I woke up, I was hoping she was still asleep because I was going to say, we're not doing it. Let's just go do something else. She was already getting dressed, and I was like, I can't back out now. She's already dressed and this, that, and the other. And I didn't know this at the time, but she told me later, she said, I saw you in bed, and when your alarm went off, I was really hoping you were going to say, I don't want to do this. So we're both thinking the same thing, but we're both looking out for each other, which is the moral of my whole statement of everything is look out for everybody else. Um, so we get up. Our hotel is a 30-minute walk to the bull run. So we get up 4:45, head that way, get there at 5:30. She gets where she wants to see. I get in the square. And I was like, you know what? If I don't make it to the finish line, because everybody wants to make it to the arena, because that's where they throw the roses. That's where you're like the best of the best. And, I'm competitive. And but that's a mile and a half away. And there's 5,000 other people and 12 bulls trying to get there too. The likelihood of me getting to the arena is slim to none. You know what I mean? Because I'm looking at all these athletic people and professional runners, and there's a 300-pound twisted steel and sex appeal that don't run. You know what I mean? And so, but I figured out something at the last second that I missed the first day is when they clear the streets, and at that 7:58 mark, they open that first gate and they let people start walking to clear the streets out a little bit to where everybody's not crammed packed in. So I'm like, brain starts working. So I push my way through the crowd, get in the front, get closer to where I want to be, keep walking. And as they start opening gates, I get a couple blocks ahead, and I can see the arena about 500 or 600 yards ahead. I was like, I can make that. They had that last gate up there closed still. but they were still going and open them. But I was like, this is a challenge. This is what I want. I can make that. And I hear boom, cannon goes off. And I'm standing there, and these people, like the thing I left out about this is if you get in the arena too early, you get booed and they throw tomatoes at you. If you go in the arena before the Bulls do, you're considered a coward. I didn't want to be that person. But also, if you don't get in there before the last bull, they close the gate and you can't get in. So I'm trying to time it. Timing ain't always my best thing. It took me 45 years to figure out how to be a decent human being. Just kidding. But so I'm trying to time it. People are running. I hear cowbells, and I'm like, okay, there's 6 bulls total. I just got to be faster than the slowest one. First 2 come by, and I'm talking, son, they are throwing people left and right. Like all you see is people's legs flying in the air from horns, just like. And that's when it got real for me, because that first day I didn't see all of this. All I saw was Ferdinand. You know what I mean? Missed everything else because I'm in the back alleys trying to get to the action. You know, it's like getting to the porno show after the porn's already over. You know what I mean? All you see is mess. You know what I mean? So like I get there and the first 2 bulls go by and they're wreaking havoc, son. I'm talking like chaos, just throwing people everywhere. I'm like, all right, I'm running now because the next ones might be worse. So I'm trucking. I'm about 100 yards from the arena. And I'm running as fast as I could go, which to me felt like I was Flash, but was probably more like something way slower, like a tortoise. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, as I'm running, I feel something hit me right here. And I'm like, that's a bullhorn in my head. Right here. No joke. My wife, even after I told her this story, thought I was exaggerating. Bullhorn kept me right here as I'm running. And I turn and look, and it's staring at me, and its horn's right here. And I shift, pull my arm off its horn, and its head turns towards me completely. And there's a guy here trying to push me in between me and the bull. But unfortunately for that guy, I'm bigger and stronger than him. So I pushed him out of my way and sidestepped. The bull goes past me. I'm running still. Their fence is, like I was talking about, 6.5 feet high. There's a camera guy on that fence just because the way they got it cordoned off, so they have the main fence where the bulls are, and they have another fence here for emergency personnel because tons of people get hurt doing this every year. Seriously hurt. And I saw a couple of them. Camera guys taking pictures. They're the only people that can be on that inside fence. I guess they're not used to 6'6", 300-pound Alabama man because he had his leg stuck way out too far. I saw his leg, and my choices were Bull, Frank, or the camera guy. So Frank chose Frank. And Frank hit the camera guy. And out of Frank's peripheral, he sees the camera guy's leg, camera, and himself flip about 10 feet in the air off that fence.
Wow.
Into the emergency thing. And the emergency responders had to attend to him instead of because of a bull.
More importantly, is that on video somewhere?
Probably so. Because that is where I proved to my wife that the horn actually got my arm. So, hit the camera guy, the arena's from here to that door. And I said, start out with 4,000 to 5,000 people and 12 bulls total. 6 of them are fighting bulls, 6 of them are steers. And we're all funneling into this doorway that's an oversized garage, basically. And I'm like, I'm getting in that arena. So I had to turn off the nice, polite Southern Frank that wants to say yes, ma'am, and yes, sir, and let me help you up. And just had to go. The guy in front of me, those first 2 bulls that I was talking about were so aggressive. One of them caught his shorts and his shirt and drug him about 75 yards down the fence line or the roadway to the point where it ripped his clothes off of him. And the bull that caught my arm was right behind him after he passed me and stepped right on top of him 3 or 4 times, and I'm right behind the bull. I jump in, get into the arena. The last bull gets in, they close the gate. So probably by this time, out of the 5,000, maybe 400 make it into the arena. Probably. I'm one of the 400. I'm high on life. You know what I mean? I'm like, this is the craziest thing I've ever done. I'm taking selfies. I don't take selfies. I hate pictures. my wife is making fun of me because I'm in there taking selfies and this, that, and the other, and, and there's on this loudspeaker and there's a whole lot of Spanish where we've already established that I don't understand. And all of a sudden the crowd gets quiet in the crowd. So there's the arena, which is full of spectators, and then there's the people inside, which is the bull runners, right? The crowd gets quiet, and then they start cheering real loud like something crazy is going on. And then the people with the bull runners inside of it starts running. And I'm taking selfies because I don't understand what's being said over the loudspeaker. And then I turn and look at a big screen, and there's a bull in the arena. And my brain, that moves really slow because I'm southern and stupid, was like, is that from yesterday? And then it clicks like, oh no, that's right now.
That's right now.
That bull's in this arena. And I look, and there's another one. They had closed off the arena and locked us inside and released 2 bulls in the arena that's just running through wreaking havoc.
Is that part of the show?
Apparently so, which I did not understand because I don't speak Spanish. So I immediately this time turned back into Flash Frank and started running to the side and climbed over the fence. And I was like, that's my bull running for my life. So, but yes, there are videos. I got a picture on my Facebook page where you can see me looking at the bull. And as I said on my Facebook post, that is not fear in my face. That is me staying calm so I didn't hurt the bull. I didn't want to hurt him, so I was just like centering myself. But you can see his horns right here after it caught my arm.
Man,
Craziest experience I've ever lived. So
we're so grateful for that story, man, and for you coming in here,
Yes.
blessing the podcast today.
I enjoyed it, guys. Hopefully, for what it's worth, maybe somebody will listen to something. If not, I did my best. So.
Yeah.
I
Hey, Frank
appreciate it.
Patterson, skin in the game,
Yeah.
living life to the fullest. He did Camino and running with the Bulls this year, man. Somebody from Albertville, somebody from right here that has the door open for you to help you with whatever you need.
Absolutely.
And I meant what I said. Financial advice,
Mm.
life advice. I don't know about the life advice. I'm pretty slow learner myself, but I'll help how I can. I'll do what I can for you. Reach out.
We will definitely be reaching out to invite you to come speak with our students as they enter the medical field. I think financial literacy is something that they need to know, and someone with your experience in the community is perfect. So please,
Yeah.
we'll be reaching out to you for that.
Absolutely.
And
Thank you.
sometimes we
Thank you
do
so
need
much.
help with people interview till the end. Student that's graduating and stuff. But
Sounds good.
yeah.
I've
Well,
enjoyed it, guys.
Well, appreciate you for stopping by the Voice of the Ville.
Awesome. Another great episode,
Another
Voice of the
great
Ville.
episode. Shout out to Miss Lisa Patterson.
Yes.
One
Miss
of our
Lisa Patterson.
number one fan.
Absolutely.
Voice of the Ville. Enjoyed it.
Thank
Awesome.
you. See
I
you.
gotta get back to work.